Ruslan.
You tapped into what I would think is this cultural zeitgeist of intersections that just so happen to work. We're doing a stream tomorrow on disruptive value and caring about what other people care about in order to either, build an audience, sell a product, right? And there was something, you hit this intersection of sneaker culture, sneakerhead, consumerism, and Christianity, and it worked because there was this undertone and this zeitgeist already there with these intersections. So I think that's brilliant on your part. But when it comes to call out culture, right? Because you're kind of like accused of like, oh, that's call out culture and what have you. The ironic part, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but the ironic part to me is if someone posts something on a public forum and I react to it, that is not gossip, or call out culture to me. But that's kind of like the connection, it almost seems like, right? So like if Stephen Furtick decides to wear $1,000 Versace shirt,
and he does,
you recurating that doesn't call him out. He's literally sharing it for the whole freaking world to see. And Stephen Furtick, by the way, I used to really love his preaching, is one of the worst when it comes to just dress. I always crack up when you post stuff with him because this man, he needs a stylist. Goodness gracious, somebody needs to dress. He's just over the top with some of the stuff he wears, man. But that nevertheless, I digress. Because to me, call out culture is almost like a dismissal of what you're doing or what the crew does or some of what I do, I guess. Like if someone is publicly, it'd be different if we then went inquired or like found something, them shopping for $1,000 shirt, right? You know what I mean? But if you're just taking a picture from their Instagram and posting and saying, oh, by the way, because the sneakerheads already know. I've been known about these celebrity preacher guys. I've been known that they've been dripped out for over a decade, right? But something about connecting the dots, you get dismissed as call out culture, gossip, slander, don't touch the Lord's anointed, hogwash. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how many examples we need of people embezzling funds and sleeping around to start calling people out.
You went straight for the jugular, man.
I mean, because I've done 2 years of this, bro. I've done 2 years of this. So it's not about the sneakers. Like if you want to talk about call out culture, like my perspective is, and plenty of people bring that up about you're being a gossip, call out culture is never helpful. I would point you towards Harvey Weinstein's situation, like as a very glaring success story of call out and cancel culture being for an inherent good. If you think about it long enough, everybody's got a thing that they would be willing to scream from the top of their lungs about. And it's different for everybody. But if you write off call out culture carte blanche, then now you're saying those that are abused should not be spoken up for, or those that have been taken advantage of should not be spoken up for. There is some utility in using every platform available to pointing at something that needs to be changed. So it's pretty intellectually lazy, I think, to say if you're ever doing something that doesn't feel comfy on social media, you're being divisive or you're being you're leveraging call out culture, you're trying to cancel people, you're trying to be vicious. If your heart's there, then you need to check that. But I think call out culture does have some utility to it, but it's a matter of discerning when it's useful and when it's, I guess, righteous versus when it's just you trying to clout chase or trying to pile on the week's flavor of the week outrage thing. Like there's a lot of nuance here, but if you're not willing to think about it, then of course you're going to look at my thing and say, oh, you're just being a gossip. When, if you're a public figure choosing to have the benefits of being a public figure, we also get to interact with your content in a public way and not feel bad about it. I think,
content
granted,
that you put on Instagram,
right? So like, if you're mad at me for, I think showing the world that these shoes legitimately are reselling. Like if you were to sell a dead stock pair of any of these shoes, you could get $1,000 from StockX today. If you're mad at me for that, I hope you're also mad at maybe people using Christianity or tithes and donations for personal gain and building your own, building your own image.
Okay, here's my thing with this. And this is, I feel like some of these guys need to get savvy to this, right? Meaning that if you own your truth and you are transparent about where you are with whatever thing you have, right? Hey, guys, man, I like clothes. I like expensive clothes. And you know what? I've sold millions of books. So guess who gets to buy expensive clothes? Right? Mr. Stephen Furtick, because he's sold millions. It's none of my business if he's spending book money on his clothes. Respect, for sure, right? Or whoever these guys are. Or, hey, guys, man, I'm going through a tough season in my marriage. I need to step back. Or right? I think what happens with these pastors is they're so insulated, and then they almost detach from reality. And it's like you're trying to be this like private person where anybody that I have zero desire to be a pastor. I have zero desire to be a celebrity pastor, let alone, because that just sounds like a massive headache. But anybody that watches my channel knows that, like, oh yeah, Ruslan's into shoes. You know what I mean? Ruslan gets triggered and be blocking people sometimes unnecessarily on YouTube.
Yeah.
He turns up, right? And sometimes we don't know if he's being entertaining or if he's really in his feelings. Like, and I'll be transparent. Oh, guys, I'm in therapy, right? Because I want to own my mess, not as like this like preemptive, in case I have a moral breakdown, but just so when you see me in public and you see me in some $400 or $500 Yeezys or Jordan 14s, it won't shock you. And I have no problem with telling you exactly how I got it. Yo, I went through a time where I got into shoes and I started flipping and I started buying stuff from my local Nike employee clearance, not employee store, clearance store. We have one in San Diego, one of like a dozen in the country. I started flipping, took that money, bought the shoes I wanted. I still have like $600, $500 in my GOAT account, right? So I have no problem with sharing these things with people. But what I think what's frustrating for folks looking on the outside is that you're out here dripped out. Respect. If you out here getting the bag, you getting your speaking bag, you getting your book bag. Respect. You out here living this lavish lifestyle, and you want to like not address how you're getting this bag or how you're living like a freaking Kardashian, really? And you're a pastor. That's the frustrating part. So like, just keep it a buck, fam. Like, yo, I got this bag from doing this. And we'll talk about the particulars of how because not everybody's just out here spending tithes on shoes. We want to clarify that in some of these brothers, because I'm connected to a lot of these dudes indirectly or directly. That's the frustrating part. So my question for you, I just said a lot. I don't know if you want to chime in on that, but this is leading to a specific question. What
I'll say is it's been shocking to me how surprised some of the guys got that people would ask about a pair of shoes that are worth $1,000. Like, dude, you shouldn't be surprised by that. Like Judah Smith, who I interviewed for the audiobook, who I respect a ton, because he basically said, like, if you're going to wear it, own it, preacher. Like, if you're going to wear it, don't be insecure about it. Have a community of people around you that know how you do your finances and like can speak into whether or not you are too obsessed with clothes or fashion or money or whatever. And if you're keeping it a buck with them, then who cares what people say on the internet? Like, maybe there's some legitimacy to the critique. And if so, take it to your community and address it, but don't be insecure about it. That's the worst way to address some of these things. So yeah, I'm with you on that, bro.
And shout out to Judah, because I feel like Judah is pretty A1 when it comes to just being transparent and stuff. And he's in that like celebrity circle. But from my interactions with him, he's always been solid in A1, even though he's dripped out. Respect to Judah. He one time he said, "I don't buy clothes, I buy outfits." And I was like, yo, respect to Judah Smith. Put some respect on Judah's name. Okay, my question to you is, outside of Judah, which is great to hear that you guys have a friendship, and I saw you mention that, but I didn't know that was in the audiobook, so I'm actually really looking forward to checking out the audiobook.
Yeah.
Who's the most high-profile person that's reached out to you or shot you a DM on since this whole thing?
I've talked with Rick Warren before. He wasn't triggered, but he reached out one time, and we talked briefly.
Rick Warren is the truth. I like that guy.
He's got that's a bag. I mean, that's a bag beyond bags. I've talked with Carl Lentz before. I've talked with Chris Brown at Elevation. I've talked with Mac Brock. I've talked with Nathan Finocchio. I've talked with Ron Carpenter's wife reached out to me one time. Just like a whole slew of people. And there's plenty I don't remember because I get thousands of messages, especially at the beginning. Everybody, there was a couple weeks there where it was very intense, and there was a lot of people that were pissed. And I got all this kind of secondary knowledge about how all these other people were getting harassed and that kind of stuff, which I didn't feel great about. But yeah, I've heard from a lot. Some were understanding, others just wanted to talk at me, and that's fine.
But
so,
now it's like
yeah.
a respect, right? Now it's like a respect. Like what you do is helpful. It's like watching CoffeeZilla call out scammers on YouTube, right? Shout out to CoffeeZilla and The Drip and them calling out, you know, scams on YouTube. Is it there now, or is it like still hostility from the pastors?
Many of them have chosen not to address it at all. I think their PR people have probably said, just wait and it'll go away. I think 2 years later, I imagine they're not pleased that I'm still around. Like people like Judah who are self-aware and are like, yeah, some of this is helpful. Like it's helpful to be brought down to earth sometimes, because sometimes we do think we're too special. But I know for a fact that there's grumblings amongst that whole crew that they're not fond of what I do, which is fine. But also I hope you have bigger fish to fry too than to worry about my posting about your shoes, hopefully.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.